Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our CCH coffee chat happy hour. I'm so happy that there's so many of you here. Before I introduce you guys to our esteemed guests and speakers for today, Doctors Daksha and Vijay Vaishnav, I'm going to give it over to our office administrator, Michelle. Many of you have been communicating with her via email, via phone. She's the one who helps everybody with all our paperwork, our exam, any information that you guys need. So she's going to just give us a little bit information about the upcoming October exam and the pre-qualification requirements. And then after that, we'll get started with our guests. Thank you so much. So Michelle, it's all you now.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a good night. I'm Michelle, the office administrator. I know I've probably spoken to many of you by email or by phone. That's a great segue to let you know that we are opening up some other avenues for communicating. With recertification coming up and certification, we will have some virtual options where we will have some appointments available for you to have a one-on-one question and answer session with me if you needed some help recertifying or getting through your application. That will be coming up in one of our upcoming newsletters, and some chat options on our website and some frequently asked questions to look forward to soon. So nice updates to make everything feel a little bit more smooth going forward soon. I wanted to highlight again, like we did the last time, about our upcoming exam in October. We have a very limited time opportunity for a specific group of candidates, and this opportunity will end with the October exam. So if you have graduated from a program in 2019 or before that was non-accredited, you are able to request an evaluation of your program and your eligibility to see if you can apply for the exam in October. So there is a process for that. It's called the PQE process. You've probably seen it. It's PQE stands for Pre-Qualification Evaluation. So the committee will review your documents to see if you're eligible to apply. And then at that point, after you're eligible, you can go ahead and apply for the exam and jump into the process from there. So if you have any questions about that, please email me at chcinfo@homeopathicdirectory.com. I'll type that email address in the chat when I'm done, to learn how you can get started with that. Right now, we are accepting PQE applications, and registration starts. It opens for everybody in August, on August 1st. So you'll want to get those evaluations started so that the committee has time to review everything before registration actually begins. But if you don't get to it before August 1st, that's okay. You still have some time, but you want to get on that soon so you can get all of your documentation ready. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch in on was recertification. Recertification is due by November 30th each year, but you can recertify anytime throughout the year. So if you already have your CEUs and your documentation, you can log into Certimi and get those uploaded and finish up your steps. If you do not know how to do that, or if you need assistance, or if you get stuck, please feel free to send me an email, give us a phone call, or book one of our upcoming appointments, and we can walk you through that real easy. And I think that might be it for me. Yep, I think that's it. Back to you, Yashi, and I'm looking forward to hearing the Vaishnavs.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was so helpful. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Doctors Vijay and Daksha Vaishnav. They really don't need an introduction, but I'm going to try. They were both my professors back in college in 91 and 92 in India. They really don't need an introduction. I'm in awe of them. I've learned so much from them when in school, and I continue to learn from them. And they are so sharing of their knowledge. They're so open. I can still reach out to them with a question here or there about a patient, about anything, and they're always happy to guide me or guide anybody who reaches out to them. So, they are true gurus, and we really appreciate them. Doctors Daksha and Vijay Vaishnav, internationally renowned practitioners and teachers of homeopathy, will share with us practical tips on setting up, maintaining your homeopathic practice, and finding the right balance between work and time for yourself and family. Having taught and practiced homeopathy in India, Austria, United Kingdom, and now in the United States, they bring rich experience of having helped thousands of people globally for over 37 years. A solid background and training in the clinical sciences, both are M.D.s in homeopathy from India and Certified Classical Homeopaths (CCH) in the USA, sets them apart as skilled and proficient practitioners of homeopathy. Dr. Daksha has been practicing homeopathy for over 37 years. She was professor and head of department of the OB/GYN at the Chandaben Mohanbhai Patel Homeopathic Medical College in Mumbai, India, where she has been teaching Gynac and Ops therapeutics for 26 years. She was also the honorary physician at the teaching hospital which was attached to the college. She has had extensive experience in managing children's and women's health, including polycystic ovarian syndrome, infertility, menopause, pregnancy, and labor with homeopathy. She has also been able to avoid surgical interventions in many gynec cases. She has been a faculty for the practitioner and doctoral programs in homeopathy at the American Medical College of Homeopathy in Phoenix, Arizona, and a visiting faculty at the CCH Institute of Classical Homeopathy in Santa Cruz, California. She has many publications to her credit. A little bit about Dr. Vijay Vaishnav. He has had extensive experience of leading a private practice in treating allergies, asthma, arthritis, children's diseases, kidney and eye diseases with homeopathy for over 37 years. He was a professor and head of department of the Materia Medica at the Chandaben Mohanbhai Patel Homeopathic Medical College in Mumbai, India, where he has been teaching for 25 years. Also, he was the honorary physician at the teaching hospital that was attached to the college, like Dr. Daksha. He has trained extensively in internal medicine at the KEM Hospital, which is one of the foremost conventional medicine teaching hospitals in Mumbai. He had been faculty for practitioner and doctoral programs in homeopathy at the American Medical College of Homeopathy in Phoenix, Arizona, and a grand rounds teacher at the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, and a visiting faculty at the Canisius Institute of Classical Homeopathy in Santa Cruz, California. He's been closely associated in developing new concepts in teaching Materia Medica and has prepared a unique model of approach to the study of homeopathic therapeutics. And he also has many publications to his credit. We are in for a treat. My dear friends, I present to you Dr. Daksha and Dr. Vijay Vaishnav. They're going to talk to us for a bit, and then after that, we're going to open it up to a Q&A. If you guys don't want to be recorded when we're doing the Q&A, there will be time after we stop the recording and for a more informal chat. So I present to you Dr. Daksha and Dr. Vijay Vaishnav.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thanks a lot. So, we are immigrants. We have been in the US since 2011, and we set up our homeopathic practice in California in 2012. So, it has been a learning curve for us setting up practice because it's a bit different from what we were doing in India. And we were practicing in India for 25 years, where our day used to start at 5:30 in the morning. We would just go to the gym first to unwind. Then we would go to the homeopathic college where we would teach for 7 hours. That was our regular daily pattern. Then come back home, take a short break, and then we would see our own clients in our clinic in Mumbai. So that used to go until around 9 or 9:30 at night. So that was a full day with no breaks, except for Sundays when we used to have a day off from any sort of clinical work. So coming to the US has been different, and I'm sure many of the people who are attending today are also immigrants or who have come recently from countries outside the US, and they're trying to find their bearings. They're trying to see how they can set up their practice in homeopathy. When we did come here, we reached out to quite a few homeopaths and we asked them how easy is it to start practice. And initially we were a bit disappointed because everyone told us that you need to have some other mode of earning, some other source of income, and homeopathy will just be your a part-time practice and it would be more like a hobby. And for us, this has been our bread and butter, at least in India. So we decided that we need to work hard and see how we can come out of the stereotype of a homeopath who works only a few hours in a day or a week as a part-time practitioner and does something else the rest of the time to make ends meet. And it has been a journey of maybe 11 or 12 years now, where we have reached a point where we have 3 offices in the Bay Area in California, and we learned quite a bit about how to go about doing things. So the first question you need to ask yourself, I think, is, are you going to be a part-time practitioner or are you going to be a full-time homeopath looking to really help people and spend all your time doing that? So if you're just doing it because it's a passion or a hobby, that's great. It makes it easier for you because then you don't have to worry about who's going to get the money in to make sure that you pay the rent, you pay for all the mortgages. But if you're doing it as your full-time occupation, then you need to really work hard as if your life depended on it. And that's what we did, the 2 of us, when we came in here. And we won't be making a PowerPoint presentation because this is mainly an informal chat. But if we are just going to share with you what we did to start our practice, what we did before we started practice, what we did while the practice set off, and what we are doing now to maintain the practice. So first thing you should do is, before you start, what are the things you should be looking at as a homeopath? Maybe Daksha can talk about what we did at that time.
So, hello everyone. So we are a unique couple, as Yasashi said. And in some way, it's a fortunate that both of us are in the same field and we are going together in whatever we do, whether seeing the clients, as if in US, we are seeing clients together. In India, we had a separate practice. But that really made the foundation very, very strong. So half of our office work he would do, half of our office work I will do it. So in a way, it was a unique combination, a lot of emotional support when you're alone and you struggle for setting up a practice or starting a new venture in a new country. It is a very, very, very daunting task, and I think with him around, it made it little easier to look at the picture in a different way. Where you're stuck somewhere, your partner can help you looking at the bigger picture. So this is what we started. We came in 2011. We had no clue. And thankfully, we had our online practice going on since then. And it is going on. We were the first one who had signed this in 2011.
This was telehealth with India.
We did India. So our practice, so we had a practice of 25 years and we didn't want to abandon our patients. So that practice is still going on. So, but starting something new in the USA was a challenge. So we started looking around. We started looking at the sort of a market. I know that's not a right word when you are in a healing profession, but you have to find out where there is a pocket of alternative medicine practitioners. And you may want to start with them, or you may want to take their help, so that it is a mutual reference that those people can refer you patients and you can refer your patients to them. So that was a very good idea that you should look for a place. Either there is a lot of footsteps, either you were looking at a place where there's a strip mall where a grocery store is there, a chiropractor is there, a acupuncturist is there. And maybe that is the best place where you can set up your practice.
Or maybe where you have coupon, because that's where all the mothers and the kids go. So you actually get the focus of attention because people see that you have an office. There's a homeopathic office there. And the other reason is that when you are sitting, looking at pockets of or areas where alternative medical health professionals are practicing and thriving, that tells you that that's the area where people are also interested in alternative medicine, and that's where people will come. So you at least get to know which are the areas in your city or your county where there are people who are interested in homeopathy and they are actually going to a set of alternative health practitioners.
So we were lucky enough that we visited a place and it happened to have a acupuncturist office. And it was, I very clearly very remember that it was almost 5 or 6 in the evening, and we just happened to get into the office, and luckily the owner was there, and she was very open to us, and she said, "Oh, you are from India, you want to set up a homeopathic practice? I had a homeopath some time back, but yeah, I have 7 8 rooms, so you can definitely start occupying one of the rooms." But we had a very good positive start from that lady. I'm really thankful to her that it made our inroad very easy to start homeopathic practice. So initially, when you are just starting up your practice, maybe you can set up at 1 day a week or 2 days a week or few hours a week. And maybe you can share your space with others. That's how maybe you can take care of the monetary part of it. But avoid setting up an office at home. It is very very tempting when you are just starting to start your practice. Setting up an office at home, you don't have to pay for the rent, and everything is very convenient. But unfortunately, that's even not allowed in the California. So you have to have a business license from the city to run a business or a practice. And in a way, it's a good thing because you want to have some boundaries between your patient and yourself. You want to have your own private time. You don't want patients to barge in at any odd time, thinking that, oh, you are at home, you can definitely see me and you can give the medication or whatever or advice. So it's always a good to have a professional setup. It's always good to have a place away from home. And I always start with a business license in India was difficult. It's a very elaborate and taxing process. While here in the US, it was very easy. We just went to the city council, and within 10 or 15 minutes, the form was all filled up, and the license was ready in the next week or two.
So this license is not a license to practice. It's not like a medical license. It's basically a license to run a business in that particular city. You're paying a tax to the city to run your business. Initially, when you start your business, you feel, my God, I've got to pay $30 a year or $50 a year to the city, and I may not get any clients. But in the long run, it works very well. And also, it's illegal to just set up a practice and just start seeing clients, because if you run a business, you're supposed to follow the laws of that particular city. Now, the advantage we had with the business license was later on, when we had enough income to buy a car, we bought a car on the business name, and that gives us a lot of depreciation. And that's the time when they need to know if you have a business license. So when you want a mortgage or a home loan, that's again where this business license was of use, because it also tells you since when you are in business. Apart from your IRS paperwork and the tax whatever forms that you have to submit, you also use all these as additional inputs to get you a better deal at the car showroom or when you are shopping for a loan for a house. And that really worked for us. So getting a business license is really worth doing. Now, apart from that, before you start your practice, you should also think of having a business name. Like we call ourselves Homeopathic Healing. And we have registered this with the county. So you get what is called a fictitious business name, FBN. You start a fictitious business name and you use that for everything. So all our offices, all our stationery has the fictitious business name. homeopathic healing. So when we also pay our taxes, it is part of our tax returns too. That makes it also very important because in the future, if you need to buy something for your office, it's going to make it easier for you when you have a fictitious business name. The other thing you need to do is all members of the CHC are, I'm sure, doing that. They have a professional and a personal liability insurance. You just want to make sure that you don't get sued and you end up losing your home and everything that you own because someone didn't like the way you practiced or the way you talked with them. So you want to make sure that you also get yourself insured and covered against any such eventuality in the future. The third thing that we did, in fact, this was much before even coming to the US, is that we had our own business website. And I think amongst our peers in India, we were one of the first few to actually set up a homeopathy website. And this was in the year 2000, about 11 years before we even came to the US. We had set up our own website with a lot of information about what is homeopathy, etc. The usual stuff that you see on most homeopathy websites. Also, we started writing a blog. Now, blogs are very important. So I'm going to talk mainly about all the technical stuff that I used to do. My brother is in the IT field here in the US, and he used to always tell me, write a blog, make yourself known to people. Talk about homeopathy, talk about what you're doing, talk about some of your cases, make sure that the world gets to know what homeopathy is and what you do and who you are. So the blog was something that we came up with, again, many years ago. And we started writing on the blogs. Blogs can be monetized. There are people who are willing to put ads on your blogs. We chose not to do that because sometimes we used to have ads from other homeopaths coming up on our blog posts, and we didn't want that to happen. We wanted it to be exclusively showing us and nothing else. So you can even, if you wish, you can have it monetized. You can allow ads to be displayed on your blogs. Plus, blogs are one way of getting clients. When you write about your experiences with, for example, autism, or experiences with, in her case, polycystic ovarian syndrome, people read that and they would like to know more about it, or they would like to see if whether we would be willing to treat them. And that's how you end up growing your practice. So even before you set up a physical practice, you need to start doing a lot of background work, a lot of work in advance to make sure that when you do set up a practice, you have already set in place a lot of things which are going to help you in the future. So make sure that you have a good blog which you keep updating regularly. I'm sure some of you who are in the IT industry will realize or will know that Google and all the other search engines, they keep crawling through our websites regularly. And they check for any changes that have occurred, any updates. And those websites that are not being updated, they go lower in the search rankings. And those websites that keep getting updated, they keep rising higher up. So when you have a blog which is incorporated into your website, which we have done, what happens is that you have a lot of static pages that talk about who you are, which is never going to change. Your background, your address, your contact us details, they are not going to change. Your details that you put up about homeopathy, you're going to keep them as they are. So those are the static pages. And those static pages are going to be crawled, and Google or the search engine realizes that this has not really made any change. It's okay. It's not that unique. But when you have something that keeps changing, you either put up new blog posts, or you put up your cases, or you put up some videos on your website or on your blog, that's going to help raise your value, and the search engines will start pushing you higher up, so that when someone searches for homeopathy and puts in one or two keywords, if you have had a topic or an article on any of those keywords, it just pops up, and that makes you prominent. So the whole business is about making sure that people know who you are and making people aware of you. And that happens even before you start your physical practice. So the third thing that you need to do to make yourself, to advertise yourself, is to set up business pages on Facebook, on Instagram. I think the two of us are too old for Instagram, but many of our younger homeopathy colleagues are doing that in India, especially. They have Instagram pages where they talk about the cases, or they present the cases. You should have a business page on even LinkedIn, and that helps because, once again, social media is something that everyone uses, and you need to make your presence felt there. So, like for example, our blog has had more than 100,000 hits, and our Facebook page has got about 12,500 followers. And we just keep putting up things which may or may not interest people, but then we keep finding that there are lots of likes, and there are new people who are actually connecting with our blogs as well as with our Facebook page. And that's again one way of not only exposing yourself to the world, but also getting clients. So the bottom line is, you have to get yourself noticed, and that you should start working on even before you start setting up a physical presence in your locality. Now, one thing I think I should talk about is, uh, if you have a website, also get a professional email address. Don't use your personal email, one starry-eyed girl at yahoo.com, as the email address that you would like to share with your clients, because that's obviously something that I would not like to be corresponding with, because I would like to, my idea of a homeopath is someone who's going to be taking care of my health, and not someone who's starry-eyed and or fuzzkid@hotmail.com. I mean, those are the things you should avoid. So just make it simple. Vijay at drvaishnav.com, or vijay.vaishnav@gmail.com, or daksha@gmail.com. That's simple. And that actually tells them who you are, instead of making them guess whether you really are starry-eyed or whether you got a lot of fuzz all over your face. And that makes a lot of difference, because perceptions matter a lot. Perceptions, especially in the US, matter much more than they do in maybe other parts of the world. And you need to make sure that you project yourself as someone whom they can rely on and whom they can trust with their health and their life. So that's about before you start your practice. Now, once you set up your practice, what are the things that we did and how we managed to put things in place? So maybe you can start with what happened to us in 2012-13.
So yeah, it was a waiting period for us, and as I just mentioned to you, we were lucky enough that acupuncturist was willing to share her one of the rooms with us. So we decided, okay, maybe 2 times a week we'll start practice. But that also, we had a very interesting story. Uh, anyway, we'll come to that little later. But you start a practice, don't expect that patients are going to walk in or you're going to be very, very, very busy. So don't lose hope, because homeopathy practice is not that easy. And there's always a waiting period, and that waiting period again varies from person to person. So when you are getting ready, be prepared mentally that you are getting ready for a marathon, and it's not just a 100-meter dash. So when you are mentally prepared, then the life becomes easier. So there is a waiting period. So what are you going to do? You have set up a practice. Now we are waiting for the clients to call you. So this is what we did. So we tried giving lectures on homeopathy at community centers. We gave lecture to a dentist's office who was believing in holistic medicine. Or we gave a talk to a hospital, the medical foundation here, which invited alternative doctors, and we gave a lecture there. We gave a lecture even to the health food, like Whole Foods, and we have a Pharmaca here. So there also we gave a lecture. So you have to keep yourself available, and you have to make yourself, or the homeopathy being looked as a proper alternative method of treatment. So when you are waiting, that's what Vijay said, you can update your website, you can talk to the other healthcare professionals, and you can make people aware of what is homeopathy, what homeopathy can offer. You can set up about the business, part of
What
the
culture?
cultural. So yeah, there is a lot of cultural difference between how you look at things apart, I mean, anywhere in the world and in the US. So in the US, we have seen that you have to be very, very sensitive about the cultural differences, about the way people perceive you, about having a very frank dialogue with the patient. And there are many times we get a call, that I have a heart block. Can homeopathy work? So you have to be very, very clear about what is treatable and what is not treatable with homeopathy. So maybe Vijay, you can continue.
Yeah. So we have been coming to the US for almost 20 years before we migrated. We used to teach at some of the colleges like the National College of Naturopathic Medicine and some of the other smaller schools of homeopathy. So we were aware of the cultural differences between Indians and people outside India. But there are lots of you, maybe some of you who are sitting here today and listening to us, who may be from outside the US. You should be aware of the fact that you need to adapt. You need to be aware that there are a lot of things that were different in India. For example, I'm talking about India because we are in India. In India, you have this attitude where anything goes. You do what you want, no one cares. You just do it. But you need to follow certain rules. You need to have certain things, ethics in place, which we find is something that we find very well organized in the US. And it's very important to know that. Also, things like appearance, odors. There are people who are very sensitive to odors, and you cannot burn incense in your office like incenses out there. So,
Please.
if you are aware of these cultural differences, yeah, I think someone needs to mute their microphone. Anyway, so that cultural difference is something that you need to keep in mind. Now, so what else you need to do once you have started your practice? So we talked about what you do before practice. Now, after you set up your practice, you should, once you are comfortable with the money coming in, what we did was we set up a business account with the local bank, a business checking and saving account, and we got credit cards and debit cards on the business name. All this is actually going to be useful to you as your practice grows and as you make use of your office name to buy assets or to do a lot of other transactions. So, and it's always easier, even from the IRS point of view, to have a separate business account from your personal account. So we're not giving you legal advice or tax advice. So don't take it as what we say is the gospel truth. But we're just telling you what we have been doing, what we had been doing to gradually enhance and make a difference in the way we were practicing and the way in which we were living. So that's one that you need to do. You set up a business account where you have your FBN and the business license will be very useful to do that. So the fictitious business name, it's actually a certificate that you get. And you also have your business license that the city gives you. That makes it easy for you to set up a business account. And that's very useful because you can separate all your business expenses and those become legitimate expenses that you can deduct from your gross earnings. And that helps you because you want to finally save taxes. So it makes it easier for you to separate the two and not worry at the last minute to see which of your personal expenses in your account were different from the business expenses because you have it completely separate. So using the debit card, credit card makes a lot of difference. The other thing that we did, and this is actually Daksha's brain, is that we set up an account with Square. Square is a service that allows you to accept payments via credit cards. So we set up an account. When we did that, we got hold of someone's referral code, and that gave us the first $1,000 of the money that we received from our clients, they did not charge us any transaction fees. Now, there are two opinions. I was very conservative at that time, and I felt, why should we spend money and give 3% of our income to the credit card company? But Daksha was, I think very correctly, she told me that not all people are going to give you cash, because they won't carry cash when they come to your office. And if you're going to charge them, just for example, say you charge $200 or $300 for the first visit, people don't normally carry that much cash with them, and they'll give it to you. Even checkbooks, not everyone carries checkbooks. Everyone has a credit card or a debit card with them. So even if we have to pay something to the credit company, we get money right away. And that's very important, because your bottom line is you want to earn money. And if you feel that you are losing some money, maybe you charge slightly more to recover the 3% that you are losing. But it makes a lot of difference, because you have this, it's a very simple thing. You get this thing which is connected to your phone via Bluetooth. You just put in your patient's, whatever the patient has to pay, the amount, and you tap the card. If the card doesn't have the tap facility, you just dip it in. Where is it? Yeah. You just dip it in. You dip the chip into this reader, and that's it. The amount goes into your account right away. It makes it very convenient, especially when we have 3 different places that we visit. We just carry the card reader, and they just tap or chip or dip, and you get your money right away. So it's worth looking at making these small investments, because in the future, these small investments are going to give you a good payback. And we also integrated the PayPal's HTML code into our website, so that people can actually pay you through your website, especially those who are not living in your city or who are living in the other parts of the country. They can just make a payment to you through the website, and the money comes to you within seconds. You get a notification that you got the money, and you're assured of the fact that the money has reached you. Instead of waiting for them to mail it out to you, money getting lost in the mail, or they forget because now they've had the consultation, they have other things to do, and sending out writing a check and then going to mail it out is a painful process. So we also use the PayPal and Square accounts. We have 2 different accounts, because in case one of the readers doesn't work, then you can use the other one. And we have been accepting also FSA cards and HSA cards through these readers. So it makes it easy for the clients to pay you from their service, the health, the flexible savings accounts, as well as the health savings accounts. Also, as you start building up your practice, what we did was we also set up a SEP IRA. That's a simplified employees pension account. That makes it easy for you to actually get another tax deduction. So you actually bring down your income, the taxable income, by contributing to the SEP IRA. So these are the things that you need to also look at. Talk to your CPA, or do a lot of reading on this. That's going to help you with taking care of it. Now, what else do you do once you start your practice? As Daksha said, there's a waiting period. She said, use it well, give informational talks. So as she said, we talked at Whole Foods, we talked at Pharmaca, where we talked about homeopathy. Then there is a local health food store here, which only deals with alternative medicines, including they have a big section of homeopathy. So they also invited us to talk. And all these things basically will help take care of projecting yourself and projecting homeopathy, so that people are aware that you exist. People know that homeopathy exists, and that's what basically what you want. Now, the next thing that we look at is maintaining your practice And as Yashasvi said, how do you try to keep a balance between work and family? In our case, our kids were grown up when we came here. We came in our 50s. Kids were at university. So the two of us were alone. So there was no major problem of trying to maintain a balance between the kids and us. The balance was mainly between the two of us. And we had to hold on to each other and make sure that we don't lose balance or make each other lose our minds because of uh, the way we have been handling things or managing our clients. But yeah, you need to set some rules for yourself and you need to set some rules and boundaries for your clients. So maybe you can talk about what you did to maintain a sense of balance.
So initially, it sounds very ridiculous, but we were almost available 7 days a week. In fact, to be very, very frank, we started our practice on Saturday and Sunday, and people were having wide eyes. What? Are you practicing on Saturday and Sunday in USA? I said, yeah, because those are the 2 days. As Vijay said, we didn't have children to look after, so we were free. So whether it is a Monday or it's a Sunday, for us, it didn't make any difference. Plus, Saturday and Sunday, patients were more willing to come. So of course, we cater to patients' wishes. Children are at home, so parents can get the children to our office. Or they were staying, say, 30, 40 miles away. They could drive down on a weekend. So that's how we started practicing on weekends and two other days during the week. But as the practice grew, then we said, no, this is not right. Of course, we are not working for 40 hours on those 4 days. But still we thought, no, this is not right. We need to have a complete shutdown of practice, complete shutdown from patient, at least minimum 2 days a week. If not 2 days, at least 1.5 days, we definitely try to see that we take a complete day off from the patients. So we started, as we were also newly immigrants to the US, so we wanted to explore the country, explore the cities. So every few months, we take a short break. Every 6 months or once a year, we take a long break. And on a day-to-day basis, I started going for yoga classes here in the US. Started doing meditation just to calm yourself down. You should not get overwhelmed with listening to patients' history, your own to-do list during the day. It could get overwhelming sometimes. So I started going for yoga, started going for meditation, and exercising. We've tried to make it a very regular thing. And thanks to pandemic, that has really helped us start your practice a little late, but take some time out, 30, 40, 45 minutes of regular exercises every day. This is how we are, or either I am keeping my mental sanity and being at peace with myself. So this is what I would also recommend, that you find some hobby, something that you are really passionate about it, and put it down in your calendar. Try not to give appointments on those days. So we usually do that on certain 2 days a week. We keep it to ourselves and don't give appointments. But you have to have these boundaries.
Yeah, so you need to basically, it's self-care that comes first. And so you need to set rules for yourself, but you also need to set rules for your clients. You can't allow them to call you at any time of the day or night. What we have done is we have kept a separate mobile number for our clients, which is not given. Our personal number never gets given to them. It's just the mobile number that's displayed on our website or on our Facebook page or on any of the social media or on the blog. Because if they get hold of your personal number, then you're going to be in for trouble because they call you any time of the day or night. Your phone is always on. If you have a separate number, you have a rule that you shut down your phone or you stop accepting calls. Let it go to voicemail after maybe 5 or 6 in the evening, and then next day morning you can retrieve the voicemails, see if there's something that's interesting or something that needs to be taken care of immediately, and then start calling all your clients back. So that's very important. Keep a boundary. Don't let people decide when they want to see you. You decide how many people you want to see and when you want to see them at your time. Unless, of course, it's something where there's a child with high fever and the mother has been, they have been always your clients. you would like to definitely help them. But otherwise, don't get tempted into seeing clients at any time of the day or night that suits their convenience. Make sure that it's something that's convenient to you. And as Daksha said, you need to make sure that you practice from a location that's not close to your home, because you don't want to end up having these clients coming home when there's an emergency and say, doctor, you can help, please help us because you've taken care of us, we trust you. You need to also realize that you have a life of your own. So make sure that you keep this sort of a boundary between yourself and your clients. Don't get so close to them that they can take you for granted. At the same time, be very professional and be very honest with them and be very helpful to make sure that they feel that they got what they wanted from you and that they're really satisfied with your treatment and with homeopathy. I think anything else you can add? So I think this is basically our life journey over the past 12 years with homeopathy in the US and how we have set up our practice and what we did. So it was just sharing some of the practical tips. No homeopathy materia medica, which we love to talk about otherwise. No PowerPoints, just a face-to-face conversation. So we didn't get a coffee with us today, but I'm sure you guys are enjoying the coffee. And I think Yashasvi, you can take over. And great.
I had my Thai iced tea the whole time as I was listening to you guys. Thank you so much. That was so helpful. I mean, it was like, just reinforcement of everything that we do and we should be doing. So we really appreciate it. So I'm going to open it up to questions. So if anybody has any questions, you can unmute yourself, you can turn on your video and you can ask. And I'm sure they'll be more than happy. Doctors Daksha and Dr. Vijay will be more than happy to answer any questions. So you're welcome to unmute yourself and turn on your video and ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so I think nobody wants to ask questions right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording and then we'll open it up to like an informal chat, and I think people may be more comfortable asking questions at that time. So again, I'm going to thank you so much, Drs. Daksha and Dr. Vijay Vaishnav, for giving us your time. We really appreciate the practical tips you shared with us. I do have one question before I let you go, since this has been sponsored, this talk. This coffee hour has been sponsored by the Council for Homeopathic Certification. Can you talk a little bit about your journey in getting certified and what the certification brought to your practice? That would really be helpful, I'm sure, to everybody.
Yeah, so we were always toying with the idea of getting certified ever since we came here. And I think when we came to the US about 10 years ago, it was a slightly easier process. Or at least this is what I am aware of, is that if you had many years of experience, you didn't need to appear for the exam, but you had to go for the interview and have an interaction with the committee, and that was it. I may be wrong, but that's the impression I had. But we sat over it for a long time, and then suddenly one day this email popped up that there's a special drive where people who haven't actually graduated from one of the accredited colleges in the US had a chance to get a CCH certification. So we decided to try and see if we can get certified. And I mean, it was at the very last minute. So just before the closing dates, we filed in our applications and it was accepted. And we appeared for the exam, and fortunately we cleared. And as far as how it has helped our practice, we have been telling people that now we are certified in the US, and because of the fact that we are still at the back end of the pandemic and we don't really have so many people coming in person, most of our clients are still virtual. We haven't really been able to let them know more about what we have done and what certification means. So it's still too early because we just got certified last year. We appeared in October, I think October or November last year, 2021. So it's still too early for us to see the impact of certification. But I think it is very important to get certified because uh, in the future we don't know what are the rules that the US government or the federal government will come up for homeopaths, and certification might be something that might safeguard homeopaths in the practice. And it also opens up a lot of avenues. Like, for example, we did not have a professional liability insurance as homeopaths, but after the certification, that's possible now. So that also is very important for us.
And it will possibly force us to be in the community, either giving lectures or attending the lectures on a regular basis. So that gives you a little compulsion and a little push, that you need to update your knowledge. You should be aware of what's happening in the world. So in a way, yeah, it's going to be helpful.
Yeah. So going back to the topic for today, what we should have told you is that we spend a lot of time reading. Otherwise, also not because we had to get certified, but as part of your practice, to maintain your practice and what you do, you need to keep reading. Study homeopathy, study different books, study some of the source books, because every time you read any book, you will find something new. So a book that you swear you know by heart, you know each and every page. You open up any of the remedies there, and you'll find there's a symptom that you didn't know existed, because you had actually seen a client recently who had a similar symptom, and now it makes it easy for you to correlate. So keep reading, be aware of what are the latest advances, not just in homeopathy, but in the medical world, because people ask questions. And if you don't know what monkeypox is and how it is transmitted and what happens and what are the symptoms, uh, the client will start wondering whether uh, they have come to the right person, because you don't seem to be aware of what's happening.
Okay, so I have Azada here. She had a question. Azada, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Daxa. Hi, Vijay. Hi there. So, I do have a question. Especially to Daxa, I don't know if Vijay, you are specialized in a certain area, but Daxa, did you start with your specialization here in America right away, or did you broaden and were general and then specialize later?
So I don't know whether you heard Yashashri, but I was heading the Department of Obstetrics and Gynec in Mumbai itself. So after I passed out, of course, that time I did.
She's asking about here.
So here, whether I'm doing a specialization. So I'm seeing most of the clients together. Both of us are seeing clients together. But yes, my specialization is more about the women's issue. So I am seeing more clients here.
There are more.
And did you market yourself for women's issues? It's a marketing question.
The website and the blog, it is mentioned that I have been specialized
through the blogs and the website, but we don't
market ourselves, or we don't say that I am seeing only the female patients or with female issues. But those who see the website and those who are looking for any particular thing, say for example, infertility in homeopathy, and if it comes up, my name may come up, and then they would try to approach me. So maybe it's old blogs, old articles, old videos.
Some of our lectures are online on different topics. So that's how people are aware. And in fact, she has a lot of clients even now from all over the US with infertility, with PCOS, who have actually conceived after homeopathy and only homeopathy.
So they put it on the website, their success stories, or it is through my ex-students and their relatives. It's like a word of mouth, or some patients who have conceived, they've referred their own friends, So it goes by word of mouth.
Sometimes you find that some of these companies have their own forums. So like Cisco, for example, out here, Facebook, the employees, they pose questions to others within the company and through the chat. And they ask, does anyone know if there's any homeopath who treats this condition? And that's how her name pops up. And then she'll get inquiries from these people. So we don't solely market ourselves as homeopaths doing only one particular type of practice or specialization in any practice.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have three more people who wanted to ask questions now. Okay, Yachal, you want me to read this for you? Okay, sure. So Yachal has this question. She's saying, as someone who is officially a non-medical professional, there are certain boundaries, certain things that one has to be careful about, and I'm not necessarily familiar with it. Do you have any suggestions on this? So like within our scope of practice, I think that's what she's asking about, since we are non-medical professionals.
Yeah, even I think so. We were in India. We were medical professionals. We were doctors. We were registered doctors. Out here, we are still not doctors. We cannot examine patients. We cannot claim that we can cure. So all those basic guidelines and rules and the code of ethics that are anyway there on the CLC website too, you need to follow.
But she as a non-medical person, how would she know what is treatable, what is not treatable?
Sir, I don't
So
think.
this is
I think Sir answered like that we shouldn't be claiming that we cure, and I think that's what Yachal means also. That how can we word ourselves so that we are not
Right. So you are not supposed to say
claim
that you cured a case of this or that. You just talk about how homeopathy has helped a client who came with this sort of such and such a problem, and it's just a play of words without really telling people that you're curing a disease, but you're just helping them with some of the symptoms.
Okay. Harsha, do you want to go next? You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you so much, sir and ma'am, for your time, and it was very informative. My question is with regard to the visa status when you started the practice. Like I am myself an immigrant, and I'm like currently an export dependent. So in the years to come, I might get my EAD. So will I be able to like start my practice then?
I think so. I mean, you have to talk to your legal advisor about that and what your rules of your particular state, whether you are allowed to start home. California is very liberal, so there was no problem for us, and we came here with a green card.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are citizens right now, so for us it was a completely different ball game. So prior to that, we used to come and we used to just teach, and we were not really residents. We were actually tourists, if you can use that as the right word. I'm not even sure if that's the right word, but we used to come and teach at some of these colleges, and then some of those students used to come back with us to India. They would attend our hospital outpatient clinics and wards. They would be with us from anything from 4 weeks to 12 weeks. They would see us, all the other homeopaths in action in the outpatient department, see how the patients respond, and see clients, the patients admitted in the hospital. So that was a different thing altogether. But once we got our green card, that's when we decided to move to the US and see how we can set up practice here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was very helpful.
So Rucha, you can ask your question now if you want to.
Thank you, Dr. Vaishnav. Thank you, both of you, for your time. It's wonderful listening to you today. I had a question regarding the talks you said one can organize at a health food store. Mm-hmm. So who do you approach to set up that talk or to reserve a time, and what do you talk about and how do you approach?
So the best thing to do is just walk into the store and ask for the manager, and they'll direct you to the right person, the one who's in charge of, like in case of Whole Foods, there's one person who's in charge of such sessions, informative sessions. The same with Pharmaca. Pharmaca, I think we also did it online. We just went online, looked at their website, and found the right person, and then sent out a short resume and what we want to talk about. And just carry your laptop. You don't expect to get a large gathering. You won't get 100 people coming there to listen to you. You might get around 5, 10, 20 people. Some of them are just loitering around in the aisles and they see something is happening, so they come to see out of curiosity, and then you have to engage them. So you need to make good PowerPoint presentations, talk about what is homeopathy, what it does, how it helps, and if you have had any clients who with some success, maybe pictures of before and after, just to make them realize that it works. So you can just walk into these places and talk to them, and they usually have a timetable. They'll tell you which slots are open, and they'll be able to fit you in. The same with the local
Thanks so much.
library. You can talk to the library, go to the library and talk to the librarian, and they might be able to arrange for one small session for you, and they'll advertise everything for you. Then they'll send it out in the newsletter. They'll have it posted in the. There'll be handouts, and they'll have it posted in the library itself. So people moving in and out of it will know about you much before your session is planned.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Vidya, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? Vidya, do you want to unmute yourself? Oh, you're okay. So I'm going to ask the question. She's unable to, but she put it in the chat. Her question is, if you can share some insight regarding dispensing the remedies. So do you dispense from the office? Do you let them buy it from outside? Do you give them the prescription? How do you deal with the...
So if you have clients who are willing to get them from outside, that's the best thing to do. So you don't have to deal with the legal issues. So you can ask them to just buy it. So there are quite a few pharmacies that would sell. There are some homeopathic remedies in the higher potencies and the nosors, which they cannot buy directly from their online stores. But I know for sure that you can send your credentials to those pharmacies in advance, and then they'll honor your prescriptions. At least that's what happened with this place here. There's one in California, Hahnemann Labs, and the American Medical College of Homeopathy had a big pharmacy. Now they have actually amalgamated with the Phoenix Institute of Herbal Medicine and Acupuncture, FEMA. They have a huge pharmacy, and you can actually register with them, send in your credentials, and then your clients can easily buy the remedies from there. You just have to send in the prescription. Or, I mean, everyone does it differently. So, I mean, that's something you should decide for yourself.
Okay, so we have one last question from Rucha. We're supposed to end at 7. It's 7:04. So I'm going to have Rucha ask her question, and then if they have more questions, they can email you. If somebody has questions which they are not able to ask today, is it okay if they email you?
Our email address is starryeyedkid@hotmail.com. We can share
we'll put I'll put your email in the chat for everybody. Okay, and I want to share with you, this is the first time that 33 people were at the beginning and 33 people stayed till like 7, which is, usually we lose 33 to 40% of the people. Everybody stayed from the beginning to the end, which is like amazing. So I think the talk was very well received. Okay, Rucha, go ahead. You can. Okay, so we have two questions. So Rucha, do you have time? Can you stick around for a few more minutes? And 5 minutes more?
Yeah,
we have two. Okay. So Rucha, go ahead, quickly ask your question.
Sure. So when you have patients buy the remedy from any of the pharmacy, then it's not immediately available. Usually it takes around 3 to 4 days. And especially if you're seeing a lot of patients on a Friday, then it goes to the next week. And I have people complaining about receiving remedy about 5 days after the consultation. So how do you...
Even with the pandemic, even if you have to mail out, suppose you do practice where you dispense your own remedies. At this time, if people are not coming in person, you have video calls with them, you have telehealth consultations, and you mail it out, it's still going to take the same time. So basically, it doesn't matter. It's just that you want to keep your hands clean.
Or some health food do have homeopathic medication. Like we have Whole Foods and Sprouts here, which do have common homeopathic remedies. So they can just go in the evening and buy. That's one.
As an emergency measure, they could do that.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm
Thank you
going
so
to
much.
take, we're going to take one last question from Hemlata. Hemlata, go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Hi, sir and ma'am. Hi, I am Hemlata. I am from Georgia. I have certification from India. Means I need any other certification to start here homeopathic practice.
That will depend on your state's laws. In California, you don't need any specific certification, but if you
Okay.
have the CCH with, after your name, that's going to be an additional
Okay.
qualification for you. But at least in California, we don't need to appear for any other exam or need to get yourself licensed as a homeopath. So you'll have to find out from Georgia what the rules are from your state.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Means from where should I find
You can
the
actually,
rules?
Hemlata, email, if you go to the CHC website, you'll have our email there, and I can also put it in the chat, and Michelle would be able to help you with that. So Michelle, you will be able to pull Hemlata's email from the attendees list, right? And you'd be able to give her that information. So Michelle can
Yeah.
help you
Yeah.
on
Sure.
how you can get take maybe the CCH exam in this upcoming
Yeah.
exam in October. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I'm
Thank you.
adding our email address to the chat right now as well for anybody.
okay.
If you have
Thank you so
questions.
much, Michelle.
Thank
You're
you.
so great. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much. And I'd love for you to end this talk with some final words of wisdom on tips on how people can ace the CCH exam, which when they take it, for people who are considering taking the exam in October, like 2 or 3 tips which really helped you. You know your material, but you know when you're giving an exam, especially if it's like a multiple choice exam, this was like 240 questions. Any tips on how they can prepare for this upcoming exam in October?
You just have to follow it's all laid very clearly in the resources. Everything is there. If you just study that very well, should not be a problem. And when you appear for the exam, don't spend too much time on questions you are not sure of. At least leave them for later and just start answering all those that you know for sure you are uh, more or less aware of the answer and you're sure that that's the right one. So don't waste too much time on it because there are 240 questions. So you need, of course, we finished it much ahead of time, but that doesn't always happen. And the other thing is that people like people who are not from the US, for example, uh, a lot of emphasis is given to Vittelkass's teachings, which is not very common in the rest of the world. So you need to make sure that you read a lot about Vittelkass, and that's something that even we were not sure of some of the questions that were asked during our exam because we don't really pay too much attention to Vittelkass. Most of the people coming from India are classic Hahnemann and homeopaths. So so that's something that you need to keep in mind. And anything else that is important? I think you just need to keep reading. And for people coming from outside the US, the code of ethics, that's very important because it's different from what you are doing in India and elsewhere. So you need to be sure that the HIPAA laws, for example, how they're different. All those things are important for you to know. And I think that's possibly the reason why many of the candidates don't do so well, even though they might be really good as homeopaths in their own country.
Thank you so much. That was super helpful. Again, heartfelt gratitude. Thank you so much for spending this evening with us, sharing your journey, sharing your insights with us. We are so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Take care.